Good evening and welcome to NTD UK News. I'm Stuart Lees and here are today's top stories. Supermarkets tell customers not to panic buy as store deliveries are hit by the Pingdemic. Tory MPs say they may boycott the Conservative Party conference if vaccine passports are required for entry. And a senior MP weighs in on reports that a Chinese company linked to the Chinese military has harvested genetic data for millions of women worldwide. Supermarkets respond to reports of empty shelves, telling customers not to panic buy. The so-called Pingdemic has seen increasing numbers of store workers isolating and a shortage of lorry drivers to deliver stock. NTD's Neil Woodrow brings us this report.
Shoppers are reporting empty shelves for some basic items across supermarkets in certain areas.
The UK's biggest supermarkets are describing shortages as patchy across stores, but say there is no need for customers to panic buy. They say any gaps on the shelves are temporary as they await daily deliveries. The message from the food retailers is that they are working hard to get restocked as fast as they can. They say it's more an issue of staffing levels than a shortage in stock.
Iceland Managing Director Richard Walker says staff absent rates are now double the usual number. The figure is rising 50% week on week due to people being told to self-isolate by the NHS app. Iceland have had to close a couple of shops and reduce hours in others. Speaking to BBC Radio 4's Today programme, Walker also said Iceland was having to hire 2,000 temporary workers to prepare for the exponential rise in pinging. NHS figures show a record number of users of the NHS COVID-19 app in England and Wales have been in close contact with someone who had tested positive for the virus. In the week to July the 14th, over 600,000 were alerted. The government says that from the 16th of August, those who are double vaccinated will not need to self-isolate for 10 days if pinged by the app, but some are calling for that date to be brought forward. Speaking to the Vaccines Minister in the Commons on Thursday, previous Health Secretary and current Chair of the Health Select Committee, Jeremy Hunt, referred to a YouGov poll that says 1 in 10 have recently deleted the NHS COVID app.
Given that he made his living from listening to public opinion, does he not think it's time for the government to listen to public opinion and scrap the 10-day isolation requirement immediately for people who are pinged who have been double jabbed, in favour of having to get isolated until they have done a negative PCR test? Otherwise, we risk losing social consent for this very, very important weapon against the virus.
The Vaccines Minister replied that they were looking to transition from pandemic to endemic status.
If you allow all these things to happen too rapidly and people then decide not to self-isolate, then I think you run the risk of infection rates running away with us and challenging the strategy of transition.
Some critical workers in certain sectors are to be earmarked by the government for exemption from having to self-isolate if they have been fully vaccinated prior to the August 16th date. According to Downing Street, the guidance will appear on the Government UK website on Thursday the 22nd. Neil Woodrow, NTD News.
Tory MPs say they'll boycott the Conservative Party conference if vaccine passports are required for entry. It follows an announcement from a minister who said vaccine passports could be introduced to sports, business and music events in addition to nightclubs. NTD's Jane Well has the details.
Some Tory MPs say they'll boycott the Conservative Party conference if vaccine passports are required for entry. MP Mark Jenkinson said he was double jabbed and booked for the venue, but added, "I won't be going to conference if we're excluding people on the basis of their vaccination status." And MP Steve Baker says that with a heavy heart, he'd do likewise. It comes as the vaccine minister says the government has the right to mandate the use of vaccine passports in crowded settings.
But for proprietors of venues and events where large numbers are likely to gather and likely to mix with people from outside their households for prolonged periods, deploying the pass is the right thing to do. The pass has an important role to play in slowing the spread of the virus, and so we reserve the right to mandate its use in the future.
The Prime Minister announced on Monday that anyone entering a nightclub by the end of September would require proof of a double jab. He said proof of a negative test won't be sufficient.
We're planning to make full vaccination the condition of entry to nightclubs and other venues where large crowds gather.
Nightlife leaders reacted with anger, with one saying Freedom Day only lasted for 17 hours for nightclubs. The vaccine minister says the passes won't apply to essential retail, schools, public transport or parliament.
In public buildings such as this place, and of course in essential travel and of course essential retail, then that will not be applicable. That is very clear.
Speaking to Sky News earlier this week, Business Minister Paul Scully didn't rule out the use of passes in pubs in future. At least 42 Tory MPs have signalled they wouldn't vote in favour of vaccine passports. Ministers had previously said domestic passports won't be made compulsory. Jane Werrell, NTD News, London.
A senior MP has expressed concerns over the security of sensitive medical data of British citizens. It emerged that a Chinese company linked to the People's Liberation Army has been harvesting genetic data from millions of women worldwide. NTD's John Robson has more on this.
Earlier this month, it was reported that Chinese company BGI has been using prenatal tests to harvest data on the genomics of millions of women around the world. Senior Conservative MP Tom Tugendhat says the UK should be concerned over its implications for privacy.
I'm always concerned when data leaves the United Kingdom that it should be treated with the respect and privacy that we would expect here at home. And the concern that this raises is that it may not be so.
Tugendhat says BGI's links with the Chinese military is raising additional concerns that Beijing may use the data to gain advantage over other countries.
The connections between Chinese genomics firms and the Chinese military are, do not align with what we would normally expect in the United Kingdom or indeed many other countries of the kind of collaboration we would expect to see. We expect science collaboration to be on the basis of open scientific endeavour. We don't expect it to be in terms of narrow national advantage, and that's what raises concerns here as well.
Tugendhat chairs Parliament's Foreign Affairs Select Committee and leads the China Research Group, a group of Conservative MPs which looks to rebalance a strategic relationship with China. He is one of 9 British lawmakers who have been sanctioned by the Chinese regime for highlighting alleged human rights abuses against Uyghur Muslims in Xinjiang. Joanne Robson, NTD News.
A British man is arrested in Spain over a Twitter hack in July 2020. The accounts of more than 100 high-profile politicians and celebrities were hijacked. NTD's Natalia Nutting has the story.
A 22-year-old British citizen was arrested in Spain on Wednesday in connection with a July 2020 Twitter hack of more than 130 accounts. The US Justice Department named him as Joseph O'Connor. During the high-profile security breach, accounts of high-profile politicians and celebrities were hijacked, including Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Mike Bloomberg, and a number of tech billionaires, including Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, and Elon Musk. Bogus tweets were sent from the hijacked accounts asking followers to send Bitcoin payments. The hacker's Bitcoin address received £90,000 in over 500 transactions. O'Connor is the 4th suspect charged in connection with the hack. Florida teenager Graham Ivan Clark was sentenced in March to 3 years in prison for his role in the hacking operation. The complaint against O'Connor says he conspired with Clark and others to benefit from the hack of Twitter accounts. The US Justice Department says O'Connor is also accused in a criminal complaint of computer intrusions related to takeovers of TikTok and Snapchat accounts. Natalia Nutting, NTD News.
A new study suggests more progress is needed to improve global physical activity. The researchers hope future Olympics will be used to provide a legacy for health that lasts. NTD's Eddie Aiken has the story.
Researchers find worldwide progress to improve physical activity has stalled over nearly the last decade, and they say the Olympics has so far failed to increase physical activity in host countries. It comes as the Tokyo 2020 Olympics are set to begin on Friday. According to a 3-paper series published in The Lancet, no progress has been made to improve physical activity in adolescents since 2012. 80% of 10 to 19-year-olds still do not meet World Health Organization guidelines of 60 minutes physical activity per day. The findings suggest the pandemic and lockdowns have worsened this situation worldwide. Exercise was considered by many governments as an essential activity during lockdown, but the experts argue daily physical activity must be promoted as an essential human need beyond and independent of the pandemic. The lead author of the paper says the Olympics provide a global stage to get people interested in and excited about physical activity. They hope that in the future, public health initiatives are incorporated into Olympic and mass sport event planning. Eddie Aiken, NTD News.
The government's proposed online safety bill will allow social media companies to suppress what it calls legal but harmful content. But members of the House of Lords warn this will threaten freedom of speech. NTD's Eddie Aiken has this report.
Under government proposals, tech companies such as Facebook, Twitter and Google should state types of content that are legal but considered harmful, then remove such content. But the Communications and Digital Committee of the House of Lords says the plan is flawed. In its latest report, the committee says big tech companies have monopolized the online public square, and their content moderation could easily be driven by the interests of businesses rather than users. The committee says existing laws should be enforced more robustly, and any serious harms not already illegal should be criminalized. The online safety bill was introduced during the Queen's speech in May. Some groups, such as the NSPCC, want the bill to go further in protecting children. But many other organizations are worried. Big Brother Watch describes it as state-backed censorship. The Free Speech Union says it's a serious threat to freedom of speech. An open rights group describes it as Kafkaesque. Eddie Aitken, NTD News.
A group of fossils from 167 million years ago has been discovered at a site in the Cotswolds. Experts say they are the largest and most important set of exquisitely preserved Jurassic animals ever found. They believe the site was once a warm, relatively shallow sea. Amongst the findings were a type of feather star, a brittle star, and a sea cucumber of species previously unknown to them. So far, the team has spent several days excavating the site and have collected around 100 slabs for future studies. Still to come, French MPs question the science behind the health minister's announcement that pregnant women should get vaccinated.
I'm shocked. I'm really shocked. As a doctor, I just cannot believe it.
That and more after the break. Thank you for watching our daily news show on YouTube. You can also watch our other programming on channel 190 on Sky TV or on Freeview via channel box on channel 271. In the meantime though, please give this video a like and hit subscribe to our channel. Have a good day.